before I talk about Tomáš Souček to Tottenham and everything else I put in the thumbnail, I just want to point you towards the Hammers Chat store. It's hammerschatstore.com. Got 16% off Mark Noble stuff. Mark Noble t-shirt, Mark Noble mugs. And we're running that for 16 days for obvious reasons. And that's to give you a discount. 16% discount. You just put the code in N16. That's hammerschatstore.com. We've got loads and loads of stuff on there. Just wanted to point you to it. The link is in the description below, or just stick the search into Google. Hammers Chat Store. Easy as that. Look, the Soucek thing. It's been running for quite a while. We don't do in the know at Hammers Chat. We just don't. There are other people that know more than we do, basically, and a lot better of it. And we're quite happy to discuss the regurgitated news 24 hours later. But you do get to hear things, and I think it's fair to say that the people I know are different to the people that Gio knows. And every so often we'll hear something from different sources, and they'll confirm the same thing. Now, we've known a little while about this, let's say, bit of a disparity between what you hear about Tomáš Souček being content at the club and what actually the truth is. When I spoke with Gio about it, Gio said, had you heard about this? And I actually had as well. And then I checked with a third source, and it does appear to be that Tomáš Souček is unhappy. Not at West Ham. I think he's quite happy at West Ham, but he is unhappy with the wages that he's on. Now, without going over old ground, obviously he signed, I think initially, he signed on a loan, and then we paid £5-6 million on the loan with a £13 million buyout. I think Tomáš Souček cost us about 17-18 million in total. He wasn't on a massive wage, 40-50 grand a week. I might have the figures slightly wrong, but I'm not out by a lot. Tomáš Souček had a great season last season, feels he should be earning more. As the story goes, nobody knew what the top earner was, but the top earner is Kurt Zouma. Now, as you know, when you do something wrong at a Premier League football club, the maximum the football club can fine you 2 weeks' wages. And it was somehow announced that Kurt Zouma had been fined £250,000. It didn't take Einstein to extrapolate from that Kurt Zouma was 125 grand a week wages. So the story goes, Souček went in and said, oh yeah, I want 125 grand a week, please. David Moyes just doesn't think he's worth it. Now, as I mentioned in the video that I did yesterday, but I probably released it earlier this morning, it's hard to believe both things are right, because if David Moyes doesn't really fancy him that much, how comes he plays him more than any other player? I don't know. But I think there's a difference between trusting him and thinking he's your best player. And I think what we found out is by the fact that David Moyes was willing to sacrifice Tomáš Souček. I don't mean kill him, but I mean sort of sacrifice his position in the team, which was as the attacking midfielder, if you like, or at least late runner into the box. He was giving it the old Frank Lampard last season, wasn't he? Arriving late in the box and scoring goals. Moyes sacrificed that element of his game to basically help and encourage Declan Rice. So we've already seen that actually David Moyes is prepared to clip Souček's wings because he thinks something else other than Souček is better for the team. That doesn't tell us a lot, but it does tell us that David Moyes doesn't think he's the best player in the team and should be given licence to do what he wants. In fact, he's pretty much in the main turned him from an attacking midfielder into a defensive midfielder. I understand that's an oversimplification of what's going on, but that's just how I see it, and I know there's a few of you that will agree with that one. So anyway, the additional dynamic to all this is that David Moyes has apparently said he's not going to sanction any more than 120. Well, he's not going to sanction 125 grand a week for Souček. That's what Souček thinks he's worth. I don't know how much he thinks he is, but I don't think he's said give him tuppence. Maybe Moyes has said, you know what, he can have 80 grand a week, 90 grand a week. See, this is what we've got ourselves into now. We now got this omnipotent person in David Moyes who basically is running everything. He gets to say who we sign and he gets to say how much wages are on. Basically, David Moyes is given a budget, not just in terms of transfer budget, but in terms of a wages budget. So David Moyes might have a budget. I don't know. I don't know, might have a budget if he can have £70 million a year in wages or something like that. Again, how that divvies up, I don't know, but he may well think, well, I can't afford all of these things. So that's the offer that's on the table. This is not acceptable to Souček. And as I understand it, Souček is making noises that he won't sign it. So I mean, he could be off. He could be off in the summer. It's as simple as that. And then the other rumour that's come in off the back of this is that Antonio Conte at Tottenham is now interested in Tomáš Souček. Apparently, he's all over this. Now, all I would say is, if Gio's heard it from his source, I've heard it from my source, and then there's been another source completely independent that's also confirmed it, I'd imagine it is a rumour that's going round in football. I think that's fair to say. And apparently Antonio Conte likes the player. Now, I've got to say, I'm not exactly sure where he fits in for Tottenham. I certainly don't think it's one of the front three. I really like that Bentancur player. I think he's really good. I think Højbjerg's done well for him in there. I just don't see a glaring need for Tomáš Souček, either as an attacking midfielder or as a defensive midfielder for Tottenham. But anyway, apparently Conte's interested. Apparently he's interested at 40 million. Be really interested to see what you think. Maybe David Moyes thinks he can do better for 40 million. Might just not be 40 million. He might think sell Souček for 40 million, take 20 million out of your budget and go and buy a midfielder for 60 million. Do I think we can improve on Tomáš Souček? Well, I think the answer to that is twofold. Can we really improve on last season's Tomáš Souček, who's allowed to play in his favourite position? Not really. I think he's about as good as West Ham can hope to get. Do I think we can improve on this Tomáš Souček this season? Because he's not really been a massive goal threat, then what you're asking me is, are there better passers and midfielders than Tomáš Souček? Yes, if he's having his wings clipped, I suggest yes. I don't know what's going to happen here. It's very, very interesting. But it's gathering steam. And just when we thought we'd done all the Declan Rice stuff, the other rumour that's come out, as you'd have probably seen from the thumbnail, is that Silva. Now, Silva, the manager that used to be at Hull, was he at Watford for a bit? I think he might have been. Certainly was Everton's manager. They called him the new Portuguese, didn't they? Actually, they didn't. That's what I called him. The new Jose Mourinho. The new Special One. Special One Mark II. But he didn't turn out to be quite so special, really. So he ended up taking a relegated team on in Fulham after Scott Parker had left. He's done very well with them this season. Very, very well. Playing a really good brand of football. And I didn't know this. Apparently, Masuaku used to play for him in Greece. Didn't know this at all. So he's interested in Masuaku. Now, here's what I find really, really interesting. I must be honest with you. I'm sort of surprised that anyone... Sorry, this doesn't sound nice at all. I'm sort of surprised that anyone would pay any money for Masuaku. I don't mean he's useless as a footballer. He really... Sometimes he can look so skillful. I really do. But I often look at Masuaku and think we ain't getting any money back for him. Now, here's the thing. Apparently, Silva is willing, if Fulham get promoted, and they will, and anyway, by the time I've published this video, the Championship may well have played some games. I don't know. I don't follow it that closely. They might even be promoted already. I'm not sure. Please excuse me on that. But on the event of them being promoted, apparently Silva wants Masuaku. Sorry, I'm smiling. I shouldn't smile. He's all right. I actually quite like him. I just don't think he's any good for West Ham under David Moyes. And apparently, Silva's willing to pay 5 million for him. Now, that's about what we paid. And we've had, I was going to say, a lot of service out of him. It's not like he's played loads, but to have him and I think have his best years, and then be able to sell him on for the same amount of money that you got him for, I think, do you know what? I'd bite their hand off for that. I really would. He's the type of player that I would expect to leave for free in the summer. He's not in the manager's plans. He barely uses him unless he's absolutely desperate and needs to. And I just think, take the money, But apparently we look like we're holding out for 8 million. My only advice would be don't. Please don't. There's not going to be a queue of players waiting to sign off Masuaku, all right? It's not like if you don't sell him to Fulham, you can sell him to Bournemouth. If Bournemouth don't have him, Norwich will have him. It's not going to happen. For the sake of 3 million quid, I would think yourself lucky you're getting 5 million quid, and I'd just take it. I'm a big advocate for giving sell-on fees and ratcheting deals which looks after us in the future. I wouldn't even do any of that, right? So I think sometimes we don't do it on the right players. Like when we got rid of Josh Cullen, there should have been a future sell-on deal in place. I read recently there's no future sell-on deal with Sebastian Haller. My word, I mean, I thought that deal was bad enough as it was, but to not have any sell-on clause, and apparently I hear, Ajax wouldn't do it. Well, then he didn't negotiate well enough. Believe you me, if Ajax were buying a player off of us, that we just spent 45 million on and they were getting in for 20. Believe you me, they wanted that player, right? You can just turn around and say, I ain't actually doing this unless we do a sell-on clause. So, anyway, I don't think we do it when we're meant to do it, and times when we probably don't need to do it like this, we might look to try and haggle a little bit too much. Haggle when you need to. When you don't need to and you want the player out, take the 5 million, say thank you very much, and sort of hope he doesn't bite you on the arse. I mean, he just would, wouldn't he? You know, he'd play for Fulham next season, and the best game we've ever seen Masuaku play would be against West Ham. But I tell you what, if we can't set out a team to defend against Masuaku, we do have problems. Anyway, I mean, there you go. You know, a little bit interesting. Masuaku is very, very different to Tomáš Souček in that sense. I think there's also another thing in terms of losing Tomáš Souček. Sorry to jump between the two subjects, which is messaging as well. What sort of message does that send out to the? I think not just to West Ham, to the West Ham fans, to the West Ham players, but also to the other clubs. Now, even if it's true that David Moyes doesn't fancy him, I still don't think that it sends out the right messaging. I still think other clubs look at West Ham and think, they're a selling club now. Even if he really wants to let him go. The press, you can certainly imagine it. You know, you can imagine all the commentators on Sky and on TalkSport all turn around saying, what are West Ham doing? Losing Tomáš Souček. Tomáš Souček's brilliant. But of course their mind would be last season's Souček. You still hear commentators say it, don't you? What a midfield partnership Souček and Rice are. But you get the impression they're sort of thinking of last year's Souček and Rice partnership, thinking of how well West Ham have done this year to get the semi-finals in Europe, and almost filling in the gaps and sort of assuming that as a partnership, Rice and Souček have been brilliant for 24 months, but they haven't, have they? So, anyway, look, very, very interesting. Not entirely sure what I would do. Be interested to know if you'd sell him for 40 million. It's going to be interesting. Do think this is going to run and run, though?